Bills for introduction.
Climate Change Response, Emissions Trading and Other Matters Amendment Bill, introduction.
That bill is set down for first reading. The House now comes to questions for oral answer, and the first question stands in the name of the Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Prime Minister, does he have confidence in all his ministers? If so, why?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, yes, because they're hard-working ministers focused on building a brighter future for all New Zealanders.
The Leader of the Opposition.
Did the Minister for Social Development abuse her power when she released the personal private details of an individual?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, no. The matter has been looked at by the Human Rights Director, and the case has now been settled.
The Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, is he still comfortable, as he said, with his minister releasing personal private information as he said he was at the time, or has he changed his view?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, I'm comfortable with the actions of the Minister, and that's why there was an agreed position by all the parties involved in this case.
The Leader of the Opposition.
Is he confident that the Minister is unlikely, as he put it, to release private and personal information again, as he has reported saying, given that she had said she would do it again, depending on the circumstances?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, the Minister has indicated to me, Mr. Speaker, that she's unlikely to do it again.
The Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, does a Minister releasing personal private information for political gain meet the standard to which he holds ministers to account?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, if one looks at the politically motivated campaign that was run around this issue, there is at least a bit of context there. But as we can see from the Director of Human Rights, there was no case to answer.
The Right Honourable Winston Peters.
How can the Prime Minister have confidence in the Minister for Land Information when that Minister, with plenty of time to prepare, gave the House seriously erroneous information about a major court case?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as I understand it, the Minister did make an error, but he also came down to the House and corrected that error. That is the normal and standard procedure, and I remember other members of this House having to make similar corrections to their answers from time to time.
The Right Honourable Winston Peters.
How can he have confidence in the Minister of Land Information when the Minister told the House last week that the Overseas Investment Office was powerless to act while a stay was placed on 4 farms owned by May Wang, yet later told the New Zealand Herald that his officials were working on getting the farm sold before the case against Mrs Wang is complete?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not going to go into the individual details, but I am confident that the Minister has carried out his duties as required by the law and to a professional manner.
Point of order, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
You recall the Prime Minister saying that the Minister for Land Information came down and gave this House an explanation. Now, you recall very well, because you were involved in the 2 points of order.
Order.
And the personal explanation.
Order. I'm on my feet. Order.
Well, how about hearing the point of order?
Order. Now, this is question time. Order. I'm on my feet. And the member is trying to question the answer the Prime Minister gave. The member asked, how does the Prime Minister have confidence given these factors? The Prime Minister explained in his answer why he has confidence. That is the end of the answer to that question. Now, it's in the hands of members, the precision of the questions they ask. But when they ask, how can the Prime Minister have confidence in some minister, there may be a whole range of reasons why the Prime Minister has confidence in minister. On this occasion, I believe the Prime Minister said he thought the minister had complied with the requirements of the law. That's why I had confidence in him. If the members want particular answers, they've got to be very particular about the wording and the questions.
Mr Speaker, point of order.
Is this point of order?
You would know full well that he came down and he gave an explanation which you recall we allowed to happen.
Order. Order.
We allowed to occur.
Order. The member will resume his seat. He is... Order. The member is litigating an answer by way of point of order that is totally outside the standing orders of this House. The member's been here just as long as I have. He knows that the standing orders don't provide for that. And the Prime Minister answered the member's question. Because the member asked, how can he have confidence in the minister given certain circumstances? The Prime Minister answered why he had confidence in the minister. Supplementary question, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
How can the Prime Minister have a confidence in the Minister for Land Information on the basis that he came down to the House and gave an explanation when that explanation demonstrably and palpably was wrong and false in every respect as to the court case's timing. How can he have confidence on that basis?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, the member would really need to direct that at the minister involved, but my understanding is the minister had...
Point of order, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
This is the second week I've asked these same simple questions, and now we're being fobbed off on the basis I should ask someone else.
Order.
He is, after all, the Prime Minister.
Well, if the member does not resume his seat while I'm on my feet, he'll be leaving this chamber. I'm not going to tolerate any further. Order, and the member stop interjecting. Goodness, this is Parliament. And we've just had a serious debate about New Zealanders losing their lives overseas, and we carry on like spoilt brats. Now the member... Order. Now the member will leave the chamber. The member will leave the chamber. He will not, and if he carries on like that, he'll be named. Point of order, the Right Honourable Trevor, the Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr. Speaker, I invite you to look carefully at what just happened, sir. You invoked people fighting for freedom and at the same time stopped a member asking a question which was a real one.
Order. The Speaker did not stop the member asking the question at all. The member asked his question, the Prime Minister started answering it. The member actually was concerned about the way the Prime Minister was answering and had the legitimate right to raise a point of order, which he did. But then he sought to use the point of order the wrong way. What he could have, in his point of order, done was argued under the point of order the Prime Minister was not answering the question. I would have had some sympathy for that, because the question asked whether how the Prime Minister could have confidence in a minister, and that is something the Prime Minister is responsible for. But a member has to comply with the standing orders, and I will not tolerate in this House point of order process being abused like that, and I will not tolerate members from their seats just answering back. The member has an absolute right to raise a point of order, but he must be focused on what he's doing. And he could have, in my view, raised a legitimate point of order because the Prime Minister was starting to answer in a way that perhaps wasn't appropriate, because the Prime Minister is responsible for his confidence in ministers, and therefore to answer the question was better directed at the minister in question was perhaps not an appropriate answer to a question asking about the Prime Minister's confidence. But the member asking the question didn't pursue the point of order correctly. He tried to litigate information instead of questioning the Prime Minister's answer, and then proceeded to argue with the chair. I'm simply not going to tolerate that. The House, in the last few days, I've continued to receive numerous communications to the public concerned about the behaviour in their House, and we need to pick up our standards a little. I don't want to turn this place into some boring place, but we just need to pick up our standards a little, and that is not the way to do it. Point of order, the Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, just speaking to the point of order, I'm sure you'll go in the fullness of time and go and reflect on what's taken place this afternoon, as you always do. And in looking at that tape, I'd urge you to look at my answer. The member was asking me a question that really spoke to the motivations of a minister as he was answering a question in this House last week. The point I was making to him was, I wasn't the person to do that, but I was about to give him an explanation of why.
Order, I mustn't allow any member to, even litigate their own answers. I think the question, no, the Prime Minister mustn't do that either. The member's question was absolutely in order, because he asked why the Prime Minister has confidence in his minister given certain circumstances. That was absolutely within order to ask the Prime Minister that question. And the Prime Minister perhaps got his answer around the wrong order. He perhaps should have answered why he has confidence and then suggested for the detail of the matter questions should be referred to the Minister. That's where I think there could have been a legitimate point of order raised. But the issue remains that we will not litigate answers in that manner, and we will not behave in that manner in the House. Question number 2, David Bennett.
Mr. Speaker, my question is to the